Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, X-Wing players, and anyone who is interested in playing X-Wing. My call sign is BatMando, and this video is going to introduce you to some of the extended ships in the Scum and Villainy Faction. So, in which case, we're going to go with alphabetical order and left to right at this point in time. So, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Aggressor. And the Aggressor also had another name of the IG-88. You may be able to see it right there on its cardboard. You will also see that there is a letter next to it. So there were actually 4 of these. So IG-88A through D. And normally you got, say, 2 to 3 in a list. If you try putting one into Launch Bay Next right now, you are able to get 3 of these into one list, but one of those ships has to be IG-88D. Now, all 4 of them, the different models had different pilot skills, and they would feed off each other, and there was a way to connect one pilot skill to another ship of the same kind. So its dial is right here, and in which case we'll go ahead and flip that over. It had a couple of sloops. It has a lot of blue, and you're going to be clearing a lot of stress, especially since this thing, I believe, has the ability to link into a boost. Now, don't quote me on it because I haven't played one in quite some time. So this is one of them. You would normally, again, fly them in pairs, and they sometimes got the nickname Brobots. So, in which case, that used to be a very powerful ship back in the day. So, I don't know if we're ever going to see it return into 2.5, but we'll just go ahead and move on to our next ship here, which is referred to as the Mist Hunter. Its actual name is the G-1A Starfighter. Zuckuss was one of the better pilots on here, and you could normally put a crew on here to pass out certain abilities or just make it more of a pain in the butt for your opponents. So now, you will see here on the dial, it's got a lot of red, so lots of red. And it doesn't have as much blue, so only 4 blue maneuvers there out of all the red that it could get. So getting it to clear stress was normally a problem, so you want to find something or someone who can help you get rid of that stress a little bit easier. So it was a fun ship back in its day, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to what some people refer to as the Scum X-Wing. So this is actually the Kirax. This is the Kirax fighter. Interesting detail and everything else. It actually came in 2 different paint schemes. Now, I will tell you though that sometimes when you find this ship, sometimes the paint on it can be darker than the other. So in which case, this is one of those things just to kind of look out for if you have the opportunity to go ahead and buy one of these. Now, this is the original paint scheme for it. And then the other one came out in a expansion pack, which I think was called Guns Were Higher. And you can see that it had the black sun symbol on it. Now, it has some similarities to the X-Wing dial. It does have the ability for a lot of blue, as you can see right there, a lot of white. It does have a 2 Talon roll and a 4K turn. This thing was really mean back in the day. 5 hull, 1 shield, and it could pack a punch. Now, when you look at the loadout for today in 2.5, not so much, but this thing was lethal when you got it well equipped with the correct pilots. As a matter of fact, there were a couple of really awesome pilots in it. Let's talk about Graz first. Graz, you did not ever want to be behind you, because if he was behind you and took a shot at you, he got to roll 1 additional attack die. So imagine him sneaking up at range 1. He's almost like Finn at that point in time, rolling a total of 5 attack die. Speaking of 5 attack die, Talonbane Cobra, also the ability to roll 5 attack die, and was able to roll an additional defense die at range 3. So instead of it being, I think their base defense was 2, and then range 3 would make it 3, but Talonbane would make it 4. So in which case, good luck trying to shoot him at range 3. So now we're going to go ahead and put that down and move on to a big base ship or large base ship right here. And this one is known as the Lancercraft Pursuit Craft, but it also had another title, and it is the Shadowcaster. It was a ship that was normally associated with Asajj, and in addition to Asajj, you also had Ketsu, and Sabine Wren also was a pilot on this ship. This is a turret ship, however, I did not bring the turret to show off here, but it was a large base ship. Ooh, let's flip it around so you can see the bottom detail and everything else. It could have a crew. It had a gunner, I believe, or a gunner slot, I should say. So I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. Again, haven't had a chance to play it in a while. But it was a really awesome ship, and it was a headache for your opponent. Now, I will tell you that this was a ship favorite of mine, but I couldn't tell you why. I do know that its ability was Dead to Rights, which they brought back in the Rogue. And essentially, if you had your opponent in your bullseye, they weren't allowed to use green tokens, and that was actually pretty darn cool. So originally it started as a small base ship, and then sometime in the reboot they went ahead and made it a medium base ship, which I don't know if I totally agree with, but it is what it is. It was lethal down the bullseye, and that was part of the problem with the ship, is getting it to line up and everything else. It also, I think, provided a couple of other fun, playful things that you could do with it. Let's go ahead and show you the dial, though. It was easy to go ahead and get out of stress, but as you can see, it was kind of on the slower side of things. Its only 4 was a 4K, so trying to get it to move and get it out of there was a whole different issue. Okay, now we are coming up to what I consider to be the second ugliest ship in all of X-Wing. And yes, the second ugliest. All right, so this is the Quadrajet transfer. Yeah, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about this one. I will say that it had one unique thing that everybody wanted to use at one point in time, and that was instead of a one bank going forward, this was a one bank backwards. Yes, you heard me correct, a one bank backwards. So it also had the ability to go 2 backwards, and it also had the ability to do sloops, or the 2 sloops there as well. Not a lot of blue in there, so you had to fly this very carefully. I don't really have anything positive to say about this. I do remember that I won this in a contest, and I think that's the only reason I ever possessed the thing. So in which case I've held on to it just because it's part of the collection. But at the same time, I can tell you I think it is the second ugliest ship in the whole entire X-Wing collection. Now, we're going to go ahead and move away from that and move on into another ship here. So this is the Scourge Bomber, and it was Captain Nim's ship. I'm going to tell you that when this was first released, it could be Rebels or it could be Scum. Now it's just flat out Scum. So in which case we have Captain Nim. This was the first ship that had the trajectory simulator, I think is what it was called. And it would allow you to shoot a bomb 5 forward. Now, you can take a look at the dial here. It did have a 3 Talon roll. I will also tell you that it also had a turret ability. So, in which case, that was pretty cool on it. So, it started in 1.0, and I also would like to point out that it was lethal with not only bombs, but you could also get the good old TLT, also known as Twin Laser Turret on it. Now, a lot of people who have been playing since 1.0 may have just cringed at the thought of the TLT. So, and that is one of the reasons that 1.0 became broken, because of that and other things such as the Scum, Zatanni, Mind Link, and various other things. Now, the original paint job that we have for the Star Viper, which I will go ahead and tell you that this is one of my most favorite ships to ever play. and it was a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I will show you why it's a lot of fun just in a second. So now, this is the original paint job. When I show you the other one, I will tell you what it kind of reminds me of. So now, this dial, quite interesting, a lot of blue on it, has a 3 sloop as well, and this ship was a lot of fun. Now, the one thing that made this ship a lot different than others was the typical barrel roll is going to be a 1 straight across. Give me 2 seconds here so I can grab the slides or the templates. All right, so your typical barrel roll, as demonstrated by this Curax here, we'll go ahead and line it up, bring it to the other side, go all the way back to the middle or all the way forward, and that is your typical barrel roll, one that you see in many of the ships, especially the small base. So this is a Viper though. The Viper doesn't do that. The Viper has the ability to take a 1 bank template, and it can go this direction. It could also go this direction. So it had 4 different possibilities of where's it going to end up. So it could have gone here, and that's without even showing the different ways of where it's going to end up here. Let me do that again. I don't know if I actually got that on the video. So it could go here, and then of course it could flip to the other side as well. And then yes, when you had it in the center, you could go ahead and have it barrel roll this way and forward, backward, and all the usual. So this was one of my favorite ships to fly back in the day, and I don't think they're ever going to bring it back, unfortunately. That's just my own opinion. So now, its second paint job is a very nice red, as you see right there. And I will tell you that this particular one kind of reminds me of a ladybug. So in which case, that's why Guri is always the one that I put as a pilot in this particular red paint scheme. So there's that. So now, those are all the extended Scum ships that I have in the collection. I hope you found that informative. And if you have, here's a question that I have for you all so that we can get some more comments on different videos. Of all the ships that you see here, which one would you like to come back in, say, 2.5? I have a couple of opinions, such as I want the Curax to come back. I definitely want the Viper to come back. However, I just don't think they're going to bring the Viper back. It would not make me unhappy to have the Brobots come back as well. So those are just my opinions. Please leave in the comments which ships you would like to see come back in 2.5. So thank you for watching. As always, BatMando out.